Hi guys, welcome to Missy's Imaginings. This is going to be a very, very different kind of video. I was a teacher for over 20 years. One of my specialties was English grammar. I developed a course to teach English in a very concise and comprehensive way. So it's kind of like getting when you need that really strong shot of penicillin for an infection. It's very concentrated but very basic and hopefully very easy to understand, because if you get what is in this little section of English grammar, I believe it can be very, very helpful for you. It all started when someone, because I was in a public school, I went there through my freshman year. I never learned grammar in its entirety until a friend shared something with me. And I thought, oh, okay, I get it. So I developed what I called the English cheat sheet. And I have given this sheet to students over the years. And if you will learn what's on this piece of paper with a couple other lists of words, you will be well equipped for English grammar. I have had students take this and just run with it and tutor other people, pass college entrance exams, because understanding what's on this one sheet of paper can change your life when it comes to English grammar. So we're going to take a look at this. The course itself consists of, there's class notes, which we'll go over. There was a schedule because I actually taught this in a class. There's pages of class notes. It's not very many. It's just this little bit that I can flip through, and then the English cheat sheet. There are handouts that are included that are a little bit of work concentrated on these items. There are some written assignments to give practice. There's only 10 written assignments to give practice on these things. There were, five quizzes. 5 quizzes to kind of test your knowledge, and there were 3 tests. And that's all it consists of. That's the entire course. I usually would teach it in like, a 4-week span of time, meeting like once or twice a week, depending on what our schedule allowed for in our school. And when students finished, if they took it to heart and if they learned the principles on this piece of paper, they would fly through the course. So let's go ahead, we'll roll the intro, and let's get started on English grammar. When we talk about English grammar, English is made up of 8 parts of speech and 9 if you include pronouns. On our English cheat sheet, we're going to take a look at these parts of speech, which are located on the top part of our English cheat sheet. So the first thing we're going to look at is the jobs that these parts of speech do to form a sentence. So in English, we have 8 parts of speech, and we combine those to make a basic thought, which is the sentence. Now, the way these words work, I want you to think more of what job is this word doing, rather than the specific word itself. We do have a few lists that we'll look at as we get there, but first we're going to look at the 8 parts of speech. So the first item we have is going to be the noun. A noun is defined as a person, place, thing, or idea. And when we say person or thing, I want you to also think of like a basic life form, whether it's a plant or a fish or a bird, or so, because sometimes things that have life aren't necessarily an animal. So a person, place, thing, life form, or idea. that's going to be a noun, and the noun can have different jobs in our sentence. The first job the noun can do is to be the subject of our sentence, or what our sentence is talking about. The next thing a noun can do is to be an appositive, and that renames another noun. These are always going to be set off with commas. The noun can also be used in direct address. So if I say, "Hi Mark, how are you?" Mark would be a noun of direct address. That's who I'm talking to, and I'm using the name in my speech. The next is an object of preposition, which we'll get to, and that's something that completes a preposition. Then we have a direct object, which receives the action of the verb. It can be an indirect object, receiving the direct object. It can be an object complement, which is going to rename the direct object, or it can be a subject complement, which is going to rename the subject. So these are the jobs that a noun can do. So what we're going to do first is we're going to look through these sentences and find the nouns, the person, place, thing, animal, idea. Okay, so here we have, the boy ate the cake. What are the things that we see here? Well, we see boy, that's a person, and we see cake, that's a thing. Sally gave me a gift. Here we see Sally, which is a person, and gift, which is a thing. We're not going to go to me yet because that's a pronoun. The brown rabbit jumped onto the stump. Here we see a rabbit, that's an animal, and a stump, which is a thing. The cat ran to the bushes. Oh, and we forgot the period here, so we'll put that on. So we have a cat, which is an animal, and bushes, which is a thing. Mark sent the mail. Here we have Mark, who is a person, and mail, which is a thing. I am very tired. Here we have I, which is a pronoun, taking the place of a noun, and then we have no other things in this sentence. Okay, so that's a noun. The next thing we're going to look at is a verb. The verb is going to show the action or state of being in a sentence. Now here's the important thing. Bing, 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 bing. Lots of fireworks. A verb is the boss in a sentence. The verb is going to determine everything else in the sentence. So it's very important when we look at a verb to say, is this verb showing action, something is happening, or is the verb just showing a state of being? It's showing how something is going to exist. No action is taking place. So here we see the boy ate the cake. Did he do something? Yes, he ate the cake. Action. Sally gave me a gift. Did Sally do anything? Yes, she gave me a gift. She did some action. She gave. That's action. The brown rabbit jumped onto the stump. Did the rabbit do anything? Yes, he jumped. That's action. The cat ran into the bushes. Did the cat do anything? Yes, he ran. Mark sent the mail. Did he do anything? Yes, he sent the mail. I am very tired. Did I do anything? Well, we don't know what I did. We know that I'm tired from whatever I did, but we don't know what I did. So here we have a verb, am, that shows how I am existing. I'm not doing anything. This is just showing how I am existing in this moment. So am is a verb, but it is a be verb. It is not showing any action. So depending on the type of verb, that will show the things that we look for after the verb. The next thing we're going to look at is an adjective. So an adjective describes a noun. Do we have any words here describing a noun? We know that rabbit was a noun, and yes, we have an adjective, brown. It tells what kind or what color of rabbit. That's an adjective. An adverb is going to describe a verb, so it's going to describe the action, or it's going to describe an adjective, like brown, or it will describe another adverb. So adverbs are intensifying words. So here, when we see I am very tired, tired is describing how I am, but how tired am I? I'm very tired. We have an adverb here. Don't worry, we're going to go over these slower. Right now we're just looking at definitions. Okay, the next thing is a preposition. A preposition shows relationship. Now when I was in school, this one would always confuse me until I saw this cute little diagram. And we see a doghouse and a dog. So here we say, what's the relationship between the dog and his house? Well, the dog can go around the house. He can go across the house. He can be above the house. He can jump over the house, be on the house. He can go out of the house. He can jump off the house. He can go to the house. He can even go in the house. He can go beyond it. He can go through the houses or through that house. He can stand before the house or away. He can be below the house, beneath the house, etc. So we have a list here. I do recommend learning this list of words. It just makes it easier to find them in a sentence. And they are always going to have an object, which is that noun we talked about. So we'll get there when we go through our 8 steps on how to identify all these things. So that's a preposition, a word that shows relationship. Next, we have determiners. Sometimes these are also known as articles. The 3 most common are a, an, and the. So here we have the boy, the cake, a gift, the stump, the bushes, the mail. We have the, comes a lot in a sentence. Then a is also a determiner, and these words point to a noun. They say, oh look, a noun is coming. We're going to identify a noun. Sometimes possessive type words can also function as articles or adjectives, because articles and adjectives are always going to point to or describe a noun. That's what they're going to do. Okay, next we're going to have conjunctions. Now when you see the word conjunction, I want you to think of junction, which is where roads join or highways cross. Things are joining or connecting. That's what a conjunction does. It joins or connects different words and phrases and clauses. They're connector words. Junction, conjunction. Think of things joining together. So the 3 most common, or 4 most common, are and, but, or, nor. And nor isn't used that much in modern English. So we have and, but, or are the 3 most common, and they're going to connect things. So I don't think we have any in these sentences, but we could add one. Let's see, the boy ate the cake and the cookies. There we go. So we've added a conjunction to that sentence. So that way we can find one later when we go through these. All right, the next thing is an interjection. So when we see interjection, I want you to think of an injection. When you get a shot, ow, you respond. That is an interjection. It's a word that's not related to the sentence, but it shows extra emphasis or emotion. Ow, yikes, wow, oh, those are all interjections. They're injected into a sentence, and when you see that injection, think of getting a shot, an injection, and it hurts, and so you say, ow. Things like that, they're usually set off with an exclamation point, or if they're not super important and emphasized, they may be at the front of a sentence with a comma. They might have a comma to set them off. But a lot of times they'll have that exclamation point. The last part of speech that's not always counted as a part of speech is the pronoun. And we did talk about, we have a couple here. We have I is a pronoun, me is a pronoun. These are words that take the place of a noun. So my name is Missy, so Sally gave Missy a gift, but since I'm talking about myself, I'm not going to refer to myself in the third person. I'm going to say me. So then, let's see, then we have I. which is first person. I'm talking about myself, but I'm not going to say Missy is very tired. I'm going to say I am very tired. So these two are pronouns. So those are our parts of speech and the jobs that they do. Now, when we look at the English language and we know our parts of speech, we have what I call the 8 steps of labeling a sentence. If you'll learn and understand how to use these 8 steps to labeling a sentence, not only will you have a full grasp on how English grammar works and how it builds upon itself, but I won't make it like a across-the-board disclaimer. I will just say I have had several, and by several I mean a lot, of students who have learned this system, these 8 steps. They've gone to college. They've passed their college entrance exams. They've gone on to tutor other students in their college classes because why? They were bored. They already knew this. They tutored other students. They went on to teach English in other countries and to teach grammar because these 8 steps, if you can learn them and understand them, there's only 8 steps and they will guide you through English grammar. And I love this. I'm so excited to share this. Okay, so when we're going to label a sentence, we're going to have our 8 steps here so we can reference them. We're going to move our markers so I can readily access them. Now, the first thing we're going to find in a sentence is the subject of the sentence. So for the subject, we're going to use, let's say we're going to use blue. All right, so here we have the boy ate the cake and the cookies. Who or what are we talking about in the sentence? We're talking about the boy. So we are going to underline the subject once, and we're going to put S above it because that is the subject of our sentence. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to find the verb. Now we're going to underline the verb twice. So we're going to say, what did the boy do? He ate. So let's hope my marker works. Oh, there we go. Come on, little red marker. And give me a moment while I switch out to find a marker that works. Okay, so we have ate. Now we're going to ask ourselves that very important question. Is this an action verb or a state of being verb? And the boy ate. He's doing something. He did something. So we're going to put A above ate because that's an action word. So we're going to label that A. Step number 3 is we're going to circle the prepositions and we're going to draw a line through the complete phrase. Now in this sentence we don't have any prepositions, so we're not going to have to worry about that step. Since we don't have any prepositions in this sentence, we're going to look specifically at things that can follow an action verb. Now, in our labeling sentences for step number 4, we have for action verbs. Step number 5 is for be verbs. So we're going to concentrate on step number 4, action verbs, because that's what we have. So we're going to look for a direct object or an indirect object or an object complement. Those 3 things, because those 3 items will only follow an action verb. So that's very important. So the verb is going to be the boss in our sentence, and it's going to determine what comes after. Now in English grammar, the verb and everything after it is called the predicate. So in this predicate, we are going to identify the nouns in the predicate that can follow an action verb. The way we do that is we say, what was eaten? What the boy ate what? What did he eat? What was eaten? Well, the first thing he ate was the cake. So here, for a direct object, we're going to put D-O because that's what was eaten. But we also see that he ate something else, didn't he? He ate cookies too. So he ate the cake and the cookies. These are both direct objects. It's a compound direct object because of the word and, which we'll get to. But because he ate two things, we're going to label both of the things he ate. So the boy is the subject. What did he do? He ate. That's action. What did he eat? He ate cake and he ate cookies. Now, if we have direct objects, we're going to look for an indirect object by asking, did anyone follow ate and receive cake? No, there's nobody here. There's no one here that received cake or received cookies. Is there anything in this sentence that renames the cake? No. Anything that renames cookies? No. There is no object complement. So we're done with that step. We're going to skip step number 5 because we do not have a be verb. We have an action verb. The next step, step 6, is to slash determiners, which are a, and the. So let's go ahead and get those out of the way. So we have the, we're just going to draw a line through it, and the, we're just going to draw a line through it. So there we go. The next is to label adjectives and adverbs. Do we have anything describing the boy? No. Do we have anything describing the cake? No. Do we have anything describing the cookies? No. Do we have anything describing how he ate? No. No adjectives and adverbs. The last step is going to be putting an X over conjunctions and interjections. So here we're going to put an X over, oh, I missed a the, sorry about that. We're going to put an X over the word and. By following these 8 steps, we have labeled every single word in this sentence. When it comes to a sentence pattern, the sentence pattern is going to be composed of our subject, here's a noun, our verb, it's an action verb, and then any other nouns in the sentence or important adverbs that go back to describe the subject. So here we have a noun, and here we have a noun. So our sentence pattern with the main nouns and the verb in the sentence is noun, verb, noun, noun. That's our sentence pattern because it's those important nouns and the verb. Let's take a look at our next sentence and follow the same steps. So number 1, we're going to underline the subject once. We have Sally is the subject. What did Sally do? Sally gave. Here's our verb. It is an action verb. All right? So now we say we're going to get any prepositions out of the way. Are there any words that show relationship like the dog and his house? No, there aren't any. Okay? So we don't have any prepositions. Let's get determiners out of the way. All right? So we're going to, let's see here, slash our determiner right here. Then we're going to say we have an action verb. So what was given? The gift was given. That is our direct object because that's what was given. Direct object. There we go. All right, now because we have a direct object, we're still in step 4. We're going to say, did anyone receive the gift? Aha, yes. Here we have the indirect object because I received the gift. So here, what was given? The gift was given. Who received it? Me. Notice how an indirect object will come between the action verb and the direct object. That is its placement. So what was given? The gift. Who received it? Me. Once again, we have labeled every word in our sentence. Let's try the next one. The brown rabbit jumped onto the stump. Who or what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about the rabbit. That's our subject. Okay. What did the rabbit do? Looking for the verb here. He jumped. So did he show action? Yes. There we go. Now, step 3 is we want to get rid of prepositional phrases. We want to get rid of those. So we say, do we have any prepositions? Yes. And this comes from learning that list on to. Then we could say, on to what? On to the stump. We're going to draw a line through that entire phrase. Now we know that stump is the noun that answers the question, onto what? Onto the stump. So this noun that answers the question, onto what, is the object of the preposition. It is a noun that answers onto what? He jumped onto what? The stump. So we've crossed out that phrase, and the phrase ends with the noun that answers that question, onto what? The stump. And then we see, oh, within that phrase we also have a determiner. We have another determiner in the sentence, the. We're just going to get rid of it, okay? So now we're going to say, do we have any adjectives or adverbs? What kind of a rabbit? Well, we have a brown rabbit. So let's go ahead and say, yes, brown is describing the rabbit. So here is our adjective. Here again, we've labeled every single word in our sentence. Okay, we're going to go to the next one. We're following the 8 steps. These 8 steps are taking us through every single one. So here we go again. What are we talking about? What's our subject? The cat ran to the bushes. Well, we're talking about the cat. That's our subject. What did the cat do? The cat ran. All right, so here's our ran. It's an action verb. Step number 3, we're going to get rid of prepositional phrases. We want to get them out of the way so they don't mess up our sentence pattern. So we see the word to, we know it from our list. To what? To the bushes. That is the end of our phrase, and we know that bushes is the noun that answered the question, to what? We also know that within that we have a determiner or article. We have one more article we're going to get rid of. We've labeled every word in the sentence. Mark sent the mail. Who or what are we talking about? We're talking about Mark. That's our subject. What did Mark do? Mark sent. Here we go. He sent. That's what he did. Then we look at any prepositional phrases. No. How do we know? Because we learned our list. So we say we have an action verb. So with an action verb, we're always going to be looking first for a direct object. What was sent? Well, the mail was sent. That's our direct object. There we go. Next, any adjectives or adverbs? No, but we do have a determiner, the. We've labeled every word in the sentence. Lastly, I am very tired. Who or what are we talking about? We're talking about I. This is a subject. I what? I did something? No, but I'm existing. So here we have a be verb. Okay, something different now. We have a be verb. So this time, instead of using step 4, we're going to go to step 5 because we have a be verb. We're going to look for a subject complement. Now, a subject complement is a noun that's going to rename the subject. Is there a noun here that renames I? For example, is there the word Missy? Is there the word lady, teacher, a noun? No, there is not. So since there's no noun that renames me, I'm going to look for an adjective back here that describes me. And here I see one. Dun, 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 dun. What color do I want to use? I guess I'll use purple. I see predicate adjective that I am tired. This is going to go back across the verb to describe the subject. That is a predicate adjective. Predicate meaning it follows the verb, and it's an adjective that goes directly back to the subject. Predicate adjective. So I am tired. Poor me. Now we say, do we have any determiners? No, we do not. Do we have any adjectives and adverbs? Well, we don't have any adjectives, but we do have a word that tells how tired am I? Well, I am very tired. So here we have very that is describing tired. This is an adverb. It is telling how tired I am. It is intensifying tired. So that is how we go through a sentence using those 8 steps. What we're going to do next is I'm going to get one of the worksheets from my English class materials, and we're going to go through sentences that are a little more complicated. They have a little more to them, just so that we can get practice going through sentences, because that's all there is. Knowing the parts of speech, knowing the 8 steps to label a sentence so that you can identify every word in a sentence, and then knowing your preposition list, your be verb list, knowing those common conjunctions and interjections and determiners. That's it. Can you believe it? We have spent about 15 minutes, well, maybe about 25 minutes, I guess. I'm looking at one of my little sections of camera work. Not very much time, and that's all there is. So now what we're going to do is simply use these 8 steps again to practice going through them and identifying each word using the questions for each of our parts of speech. If you want to go through and label your sentence patterns, here again we've got the main noun here. Here we have 2 main nouns that are in your sentence pattern. So here again we have our sentence pattern. Let's see, I got to get my red pen. Oh, and here's your verb. So this sentence pattern, noun, verb, noun, noun. That's our sentence pattern. Here we have subject, then we have our, let's see, our action. Oh, I was going to circle that. Action, verb, and then we have our prepositional phrase. This is not part of a sentence pattern, so therefore the pattern here is just noun, verb. That's all we have. Here we have a main noun, we have an action verb, and we just have a prepositional phrase. This is not part of the sentence pattern, noun, verb. Mark sent the mail. Here we have the subject. Here we have an action verb. Here we have a main noun, a second noun that follows that verb. Here we have a sentence pattern of noun, verb, noun. I am very tired. Here we have our main noun, and because I takes the place of a noun. Here we have our verb. It's a be verb. Now a predicate adjective, because it's doing a job relating to that subject. This is part of our sentence pattern. So here we're going to have predicate adjective is part of our sentence pattern. So we have noun, verb, predicate adjective. So that one, because it's one of those specific things we look for with a be verb, then that's part of our sentence pattern. Noun, verb, predicate adjective. So that's even our sentence patterns. But you can find those because we've already identified every word in the sentence. So that's what makes the 8 steps so important. Following them, each one in order for each sentence, will take you through the entire sentence, and that's it. That's all there is. Because I can't vouch for every school. I can't do that. But I went to a public high school through my freshman year. I was never taught comprehensively grammar. I knew what nouns were. I knew what verbs sort of were. I knew what some of the words did because of Schoolhouse Rock and watching that on Saturday mornings. But I never knew how it all worked until someone told me in about 20 minutes the 8 steps to go through a sentence. And I thought, this has to be taught. This has to be shared because this is all there is. Now, when you take these things and you might add multiple of them, you're still going to follow the 8 steps to find out what these are. So let's go ahead and switch out for our next sheet so we can take a look at doing that. Now, with our 8 steps to labeling a sentence here on the side for reference, we are going to go through these sentences on this worksheet. So this might be more time intensive, but if you want some practice, we're going to do some of these sentences here. In my materials on the website, they are available. Please don't resell them. This has taken a lot of work and effort to organize, and I want it to be available for anyone who needs it, or if you're trying to help someone, but please, please, please do not resell my materials. They're available for you for free, for you to use, to learn. That's my goal. Please do not resell my materials. That being said, they are available on my website. There are copies of the score keys also available. So you can work and then check your work, or use the 8 steps and use the score key to go through and find things in a sentence. My goal is for you to learn the information. And here again, this isn't a class that's in the colleges, it's not in the schools, except for our school that uses my materials. So these materials aren't going to necessarily help someone get a better grade if they cheat. You know, if you're just copying over the answers from the score key, because that's not going to help you learn. But they are available for you to use as a guide to check your own work, because my goal is for you to learn the 8 steps on how to identify things in a sentence. So here we go. First, we're going to use our 8 steps in order for these sentences. Now, this is a little bit small, and you can go ahead and print one out and then use your own sheet to follow along as we're doing this. Because like I say, they are available for you on the website, Missy'sImaginings.com. Okay, so here we go. After lunch, the boys went fishing at the river behind Joe's house. So, step number 1, we're going to look for the subject of the sentence, okay? And I have my 8 steps on the side here because I'm going to insert them post recording so that you have a better view. So, our 8 steps, here we go. First thing is we're going to look for the subject and we're going to label it S. So here we say, after lunch, the boys went fishing at the river behind Joe's house. Who or what are we talking about? We're talking about the boys. So here's boys. That's our subject. What did the boys do? They went. Action, verb. There we go. Next, we're going to look for prepositions, and we're going to get them out of the sentence pattern. Because we know our list, let's put our list here, we're going to identify after, and we say after what? After lunch. We're going to get that out of the sentence pattern. At is a preposition. Then we say at what? At the river. Behind. Behind what? Behind Joe's house. That gets our prepositional phrases out of the way. Now we say, is there a noun that because we have an action verb, so we're going to look at the word went. Is there a noun that tells what was went? And in this sentence, fishing, even though fishing is something you can do, fishing is the activity that they went. So this is actually functioning as a noun in the subject, in the sentence, and that is our direct object because this is functioning as a noun. It's actually a gerund, which is a word with ing that's functioning as a noun. But we can find it because we know that went is what the boys did. They went. They went somewhere. They went to do something. What did they do? They went fishing. That is what the activity was that they went to. So this is a noun. It is a direct object in this sentence. Then even though these are prepositional phrases, we can still identify all the words in those. So we say after what? After lunch. Object of preposition. At what? At the river. Object of preposition. Behind what? Behind Joe's house. The house answers the question. Object of preposition. Then we say whose house? Joe's house. That's an adjective because it tells whose house. Oh, my thing is sliding around. There we go. So that's our first sentence. Oh, and then we do have a determiner here. So there we go. We've identified every single word in that sentence. I'm going to grab another pen. Hopefully it'll work better. These pens are really old. Mr. Keller sent the notice to the office with Jamie. What is our subject? Mr. Keller. And this pen does not work at all. Okay, well, we'll throw that one away. All right, let's try. I didn't want to use a black one because it's hard to see black on black. Let's see if that works. Okay, Mr. Keller is our subject. What did Mr. Keller do? He sent. Action verb? Yes. All right, step number 3. Let's get rid of prepositional phrases. To what? To the office. Object of preposition. There's a determiner in there. With what? With Jamie. Object of preposition. We get those out of the way because they're not part of our main sentence pattern. So now we go back. We know we have an action verb. So with an action verb, we're going to say, do we have something that was sent? Yes, the notice, direct object. Did anyone receive the notice? No. Does anything rename the notice? No. So we're done with step number 4. Step number 5 we skip because we only have an action verb. Step number 6, slash determiners. We have the. There we go. We've labeled every word in the sentence. Winter came quickly and the weather changed. All right, here we go. Now, we have what are we talking about? We're talking about winter. And what did winter do? It came, action verb. But oh, look, here we have something doing something else. Here's where I talked about how things can be combined. We have the word and here. We know and is a conjunction. It's a joining word. So we're going to put an X here because we know what that is. It's combining something. It's combining another complete idea. The weather changed. Here we have another subject and we have another action verb. There we go. So here we have what's called a compound sentence. It's when we have two complete thoughts that have been put together with the word and. We're bundling things up, we're adding things, but our 8 steps are still finding those words. So here we have a subject and a verb, a subject and a verb. So do we have anything that came? No. Do we have anything that changed back here? No, we don't. So we don't need to do anything for step 4. Then we go to step 6, slash determiners. Okay, we have the. We're going to draw a line through that. All right. Step number 7, adjectives and adverbs. Do we have anything that describes stuff? Oh, yeah. We have a word here telling how quickly. Because quickly is describing the verb, this is an adverb. We've identified every single word. The tall, thin man with the old gray coat gave the boy a stern look. Okay, here we go. So what are we talking about? We're talking about the man. Okay, what did the man do? He gave. Is this action or being? It's action. Okay, there we go. Now we want to get prepositional phrases out of the way. Those are those words that have to do with the dog in his house. Those are relationship words. Okay, we have one. With. We say with what? With the old gray coat. We're drawing a line through the whole phrase. The noun at the end that answers with what is the object of the preposition. Within that phrase, we have other words we're going to identify a little bit later. All right, so we got our prepositions out of the way. All right, Now we look at step 4 because we have an action verb. We say what was given. Oh, well, a look was given. Direct object. There we go. All right, did anyone receive the look? Yes, a boy received the look. Indirect object. There we go. Does anything rename the look? No. Okay, so we're done with step number 4. We don't need number 5 because we have an action verb. Our verb is always the boss. All right, step number 6, slash determiners. Okay, we have the, we have the, we have the, we have a. All right, we got determiners out of the way. Step number 7, label adjectives and adverbs. All right, so what kind of a man do we have? We have a tall man, adjective. We have a thin man, adjective. Then we have what kind of a coat do we have? We have a gray coat, adjective. It's an old coat, adjective. All right, what kind of a look do we have? A stern look, adjective. Those are all describing things. There we've labeled every single word. The small rabbit with long ears ran around the stump, over the meadow, and into his hole. All right, who or what are we talking about? We're talking about the rabbit. That's the subject. What did he do? Well, he ran. Action. All right, let's get our prepositional phrases out of the way because they're not part of a sentence pattern. Here we go. With. With what? With long ears. Around. Around what? Around the stump. Over. Over what? Over the meadow. Into. Into what? Into his hole. There we go. That's our prepositional phrases. They're out of the way. Next, we look for things that follow the verb. Was anything run? Like, did he run a race? No, he did not. So there are no direct objects and nothing that would have to do with a direct object. We're going to skip number 5 because we only have an action verb. Now we're going to look at number 6, slash the determiners. Okay, so we have the, and we have the, we have the, all right. Then we say number 7. We're going to label adjectives and adverbs. All right, what kind of a rabbit? A small rabbit. Adjective. Okay. Ears, we have an object of a preposition. What kind of ears? Long ears. Adjective. Around the stump, here's our object of preposition. What kind of stump? We don't know. Over what? The meadow, object of preposition. What kind of meadow? We don't know. Into his hole, object of preposition. What kind of a hole? Well, we know it's his hole. There we go. It's his very own little house. Then we're going to put an X over conjunctions and interjections. We have the word and. We have labeled every word in the sentence. In the morning, we will be raising the flag. All right, so this is a good one. Are you ready for this? Here we have, we is our subject. That's who we're talking. What are we talking, or what are we going to do? We will be raising. Now here again we have two be verbs, will and be, but we also have raising because that's what we're doing. What's being raised? Here's our action verb, because remember, even though there's helpers, the action verb is the boss. It's going to drag all the other verbs with it. The whole thing is going to be functioning as an action verb. Okay, do we have any prepositions? Yes. In what? In the morning, object of preposition. Now we say, what is being raised? Was anything raised? Yes, the flag, direct object. There we go. So when we have an action verb and helper verbs making the action happen, the entire thing is all one verb functioning as action. So we're going to use step 4 for an action verb. So then we have next our step number 6, slash determiners. So we have flag, or the in front of flag, and we have the in front of morning. So there is sentence number 6. Wow, that outfit looks crazy. Okay, wow. This is not part of our sentence. It is set off with exclamation points right there. That outfit looks crazy. What's our subject? Outfit. Now, is the outfit doing something? No. It is existing in a certain way. It looks. Looks is our verb, and it is a be verb. Because the outfit is not, looking outside the store thinking, oh, I want to go out there. No, the outfit is existing. So we have a be verb here. Do we have any prepositional phrases to get rid of? No. How do we know? Because we learned our list. Okay, so now we're going to go to step 4. Do we have an action verb? No. So we're going to skip it. We're going to go to step 5. For be verbs, we're going to look for a noun that renames the outfit. Do we have a noun that renames the outfit? No, we do not. So we do not have a subject complement. Sometimes, depending on your own curriculum, sometimes the subject complement will also be known as a predicate nominative. They're the same thing, but we don't have one in this sentence. So since we don't have a noun, we're going to look for an adjective. Is there an adjective that follows looks and describes the outfit? Yes. Predicate adjective. Why isn't this just a regular adjective? Because this adjective jumps over the verb to describe the subject. So anytime there's an action that happens, or not an action, anytime there's a job being done in a sentence that refers back across the verb to the subject, that's going to be an important one, and that's going to be found with your step 5 for be verbs. Number 6, slash determiners. We don't have any determiners. Then we have 7 adjectives and adverbs. Here we have an outfit. Which outfit? That outfit. Adjective. It's telling which one. There we go. Then we have put an X over conjunctions and interjections. Wow! There we go. Interjection. We've labeled every word. Mr. Mack is a great teacher. Who are we talking about? We're talking about Mr. Mack. Subject. Verb is. Is he doing anything? No, he just is. That's a be verb. Any prepositions? No. We have a be verb. Do we have a noun that renames Mr. Mack? Yes, we do. Subject complement. We have teacher, or predicate nominative, if that's what your curriculum says. They're the same thing. All right. So now we found our subject complement. We will not have a predicate adjective, because if we had an adjective here, it would just describe teacher, like the word great. It goes to teacher. So we don't have a predicate adjective. Slash determiners, we have a. There we go. Adjectives and adverbs. What kind of a teacher? A great teacher. Adjective. There we go. George mailed his pen pal a long letter. Who are we talking about? We're talking about George. What did he do? He mailed. Action verb. Any prepositional phrases? No, because we know our list. All right. Now we have an action verb. We're going to look for a direct object. What was mailed? The letter. Direct object. Since we have a direct object, we're going to look for an indirect object. Did anyone receive the letter? Yes, his pen pal did. Indirect object. All right, there we go. Is anything renaming the letter? No. Slash determiners, number 6. A. All right. Adjective and adverbs. What kind of a letter? A long letter. Whose pen pal? His pen pal. Adjective. Now, sometimes these pronouns, people might put a slash through them, like a determiner or an adjective. Either one is fine, because it's pointing to the noun of pen pal, but it's telling whose, so we're going to say adjective. Every word has been identified. The party for my brother began early. What are we talking about? We're talking about the party. Okay. What did it do? It began. Is that action? Yes. All right. Let's get prepositions out of the way. For. For what? For my brother. Object of preposition. All right. Then we have an action verb. So what was begun? Anything back here that was begun? No, nothing was begun over here. All right, so we're going to go to step number 6. Slash determiners. The. Okay. Adjectives and adverbs. All right, we have the word early tells when it began. Adverb. Because this word is describing the verb. So we have an adverb there. We've done every word. Oh, and my. Here we have another adjective or determiner. Either way you want to mark that. Most of the animals ate all the food in the trays. So what are we talking about? We're talking about most. That is our subject. What did most do? They ate. That's an action verb. Now, a lot of people would say, yeah, but we're talking about the animals. But here's the trick. We know that the word of is a preposition. Of what? Of the animals. This is the object of the preposition of. It is not the subject. That's why getting rid of these prepositional phrases is really helpful. In what? In the trays. It gets those unnecessary phrases out of the way so we can determine what our sentence pattern nouns and verbs and important words are. All right. Most ate. What did they eat? Food. Direct object. All right. Does anyone receive the food? No. Does anything rename the food? No. We move on to step number 6. Slash the determiners. We have the. All right. Then adverbs and adjectives. How much food? All the food. Let's see. Adjective. Tells how much they ate. There we go. We've done every word. I think we have time on my camera for one more. We elected Mike senior class president. Who are we talking about? We. What did we do? We elected. Action. Who was elected? Mike. Direct object. Is there a noun that renames direct object? Yes. Here we have object complement, because complement means to rename. Now, if you want to do the entire title, you can. Senior class president is this entire title, but this entire title also has an adjective in it. And it's not the senior president, it's a senior class president. So class modifies president and senior modifies class. So we do have noun modifiers here acting like adjectives within this title of senior class president, but the whole title or the word president can be your object complement. So there we go. And that is sentence number 12. So you can identify every single word because class is telling which president and senior is telling which class. So adjective, it's describing a noun, and adverb because it's describing an adjective. So we go back to our basic definitions. Let's see, I have 5 minutes on my camera, so we're going to do one more. Angela, please send Carrie a note about the activity. So who are we talking about? We're talking about you or Angela. So I don't know why that's capitalized, but here we have the subject, which is also a noun of direct address. So we're going to put that in parentheses. So Angela, what do we want Angela to do? You send. Here's our action verb. Then, do we have any prepositional phrases? Yes. About. About what? The activity. Object of preposition. What is being sent? A note. Direct object. Is anyone going to receive the direct object? Yes. Carrie. Indirect object. Is anything going to rename the note? No. We go to step number 6, slash determiners. We have the, Then we have adjectives and adverbs. How do we want to send it? Please send. Adverb. Because it's describing the verb. We've done every word. Sentence number 14. Brad and Jerry, along with Sam, raced the 100-yard dash. All right, who are we talking about? We're talking about Brad and Jerry. Here we have a compound subject. What did they do? They raced. Okay, action verb. Let's get rid of prepositional phrases. All right, so we have a compound preposition along with what? Sam, object of preposition. Sam is not part of the subject of the sentence because it's an object of this preposition along with. The 100-yard dash. Any other prepositions? No. Okay. What was raced? The dash. Direct object. Did anyone receive the dash? No. Does anything rename the dash? No. We're going to move on to step number 6. Get rid of determiners. We have the. All right. Adjectives and adverbs. What kind of a dash? A yard dash, adjective. But how many yards? Adverb. Because this is describing how many yards. We're not saying it's 100 dash, it's 100 yard. And that describes it. So here we go. Yard describes dash, but 100 describes yard. Because yard is describing a noun, it's an adjective. Because 100 is describing the adjective, it's an adverb. All right, put an X over conjunctions and interjections. We have the word and. The soft fur appeared stained. All right, what are we talking about? We're talking about the fur. What is our verb? It appeared. Okay, so now, is it actually doing anything? No. It's a be verb. It is existing in a certain way. All right, any prepositional phrases? No. All right, then we look for, we're going to go to step number 5 for be verb. We're going to say, is there any noun that renames fur? No, there's not. Okay, so we're going to move on. Is there an adjective that describes the fur? Yes. Predicate adjective. There we go. Now we move on to step number 6. We're going to get rid of determiners. The. All right, now we're going to do adjectives and adverbs. What kind of fur? Soft, adjective. There we go. We've done every word. A gold medal will be given to the winner. What are we talking about? We're talking about the medal. There we go. Our verb will be given. Here again we have an action with some helpers. The entire thing is action. There we go. Will be given. Because there's action, it has some helpers. The whole thing is an action verb because those verbs are bossy. All right. Any prepositional phrases? Yes. To what? To the winner. Object of preposition. Excuse me. Okay. Do we have anything that's given? No, we do not. No direct object, so we're going to skip the rest of step 4. We're going to move to step 6, /determiners. We have a, the. All right, now we go to adjectives and adverbs. What kind of a medal? A gold medal. Adjective. There we go. We've done every word. Okay. Number 17, Billy handed the banana to Kyle. Who are we talking about? Billy. What did he do? He handed. Action verb. All right, let's get prepositions out of the way. To who? Kyle. Object of preposition. All right, we go back to our action verb using step 4. Label direct objects. What was handed? The banana. Direct object. All right, does anything receive the banana? No. Does anything rename the banana? No. We move on to step 6. /determiners. The. We're done with the sentence. She rode the horse across the field, but then cut through the woods. Who are we talking about? She. What did she do? She rode. All right. But we are going to see we've got a comma here that's given us a clue. We've got an interjection or a conjunction here that's going to tell she did something else. She also cut. There we go, another action verb. And we're going to go ahead, because we recognize but after the comma, we know that's a conjunction. It's joining. We've got 2 action verbs here. Okay, so now we're going to say, let's get rid of prepositional phrases. Across what? The field. Through what? The woods. Okay, we've got those out of the way. So she rode, what was ridden? The horse. Direct object. Does anything receive the horse? No. Does anything rename the horse? No. Cut. Did she cut anything? No. So we're done with step number 4. Slash determiners. All right, so we have the, and the. Okay. Step number 7, adjectives and adverbs. All right, what kind of a horse? No. What kind of woods? No. But we do have a word telling when she cut. So here we have an adverb. There we go. Adverb. We've done every word in the sentence. Samantha, the tall, slender girl in my class, gave me a beautiful bunch of flowers. Who are we talking about? Samantha. What did she do? She gave. Action. All right. Now here we're going to get a little more in depth. Are you ready for this? Okay, so here we have a comma that's setting apart another group of words. So when we want to figure out what's going on, first we do want to get rid of those prepositional phrases because we want to be left with what's important. So we have in, preposition, my class, object of preposition. Of, flowers, object of preposition. Let's get rid of those phrases. All right, so now we're going to go back and we're going to say what was given. We're at step 4, action verb. A bunch was given. Direct object. Does anyone receive that bunch? Yes, me. Indirect object. Is there a noun that's not yet identified that renames bunch? No. And we're not going to confuse flowers with renaming the bunch because we already got it out of the way as a prepositional phrase. All right, now we're going to go to step 6. We're going to slash determiners. Going to get rid of that. And the. Adjectives and adverbs. All right, so we have beautiful, adjective. Then we have tall and slender that both describe girls. So we have adjective, adjective. All right, and then we have my class, adjective. So now we're left with this word girl. What is the word girl? Well, when we go back to our definitions of our 8 parts of speech, we know that girl is a noun because it's a person, place, or thing. One of the jobs that a noun can do is in a positive. It's going to rename another word in the sentence and it's set off by commas. So we know that girl is an appositive because it is a noun that's renaming Samantha and it's set off by commas. It meets the criteria for the definition of an appositive. And we were able to narrow that down by getting rid of those prepositional phrases so they're not confusing us, identifying all the things that would follow the verb, and then we have that one little noun that we needed to still investigate. So we go back to our noun definitions of jobs to find out what job that noun was doing, and it's doing the job of an appositive. All right, so here we go. We've only got a few left. Dump the garbage. Okay, who are we talking about? We're talking about the person who's supposed to do this action is you. This is called the understood you, which is the subject of a sentence. What are we going to do? We're going to dump. Action. Okay, what's being dumped? The garbage. Direct object. Then we only have a determiner left. Very short sentence. It is a command. When we see a command, we know that is going to be the understood subject of you because I'm speaking to you. I'm saying dump the garbage. I'm giving a command. We have an understood subject of you. You dump the garbage. Beyond the hills, I could see a wonderful sunset. Who are we talking about? I, subject. What's the verb? Could see. Here we have an action verb because see is action. It's got a helper. The whole thing is action. Let's get rid of prepositional phrases for step 3. Beyond. Beyond what? The hills. Object of preposition. I could see what? Sunset. Direct object. All right. Here we go. We've got sunset. Does anything receive the sunset? No. Does anything rename the sunset? No. We move on to step number 6. Slash the determiners. The, Adjectives and adverbs. Anything describe sunset? Yes. Wonderful. Adjective. There we go. Old picture frames are delicate and valuable. What are we talking about? Frames. Subjects. Verb, are. It's a be verb. Nothing's happening here. They're just existing. Any prepositional phrases? No. All right. So we're going to look after the be verb. Are there any nouns, things, persons, places, things that rename frames? No. Are there any adjectives that describe frames? Yes. Predicate adjective. They are delicate and valuable. Predicate adjective. We know there's 2 of them because we have a conjunction that's combining those 2 words. So we're going to go ahead and X out that and because we found it while dealing with these words after the be verb. So now we're going to go back to our slash determiners. Do we have any? No. Step number 7, label adjectives and adverbs. Old picture frames. Picture describes frames. It's an adjective. Old also describes frames. It's an adjective. So the word placement doesn't determine the job. You have to say what is being described. Old is also describing the noun frames. Therefore, it is also an adjective. All right, last sentence. Some of my best friends are people from college. Okay, subject, some. Then what's our verb? Are. It's from our list. It's a be verb. Okay, let's get prepositions out of the way. Of what? My best friends. Object of preposition. From. From what? From college. Object of prepositions. Okay, so here we have a be verb. First, we're going to look for that noun that might rename some. Do we have one? Yes, people. That's a noun. So here's our subject complement or predicate nominative, whichever one you call it, that goes back and renames what some are. And there we have it. That is all 23 sentences that have been identified with every single word of the sentence. And that's it, my friends. That is English grammar. It's following these 8 steps so that you can identify every word in a sentence. You can go to my website and get these materials. Some of the handouts, we'll kind of go over, there's class notes that have the cheat sheet, some other cheat sheets, the definition sheets that are available. There's handouts that give you practice in doing specific things with the 8 parts of speech. There's written assignments for you to take some time and practice finding these types of words that can do these jobs. There are written assignments creating your own sentences. There's some quizzes, there's some tests. It's all designed for you to build your skills in English grammar. I hope that this was helpful. If you like this, if you found it helpful, please, please, please like, share, recommend. Let's get this information out there for people who might need it, for people who might be struggling in school, or people who are learning a new language and grammar is very evasive, because it's just this, it's these 8 steps and they will get you through this. Then you can combine those things and become more complex. So share it, please, if it's helpful. Also, if you would like to see this continue into some more in-depth work, or to continue working on some of the handouts and worksheets in the program, if you'd like to see a video of that, please, please, please let me know in the comments, because I'm happy to do as much as people would find helpful. like I say, it's been a long time coming. I taught for a long time, and this has been tried and true, and I hope it's helpful for you as well. But if you'd like to see more, please let me know in the comments. And yeah, we'll kind of go from there. I do have some sewing projects coming up. I'm working on things for a doll show coming up, the Resin Rose BJD Expo. So I'll be doing things for that. So hopefully this will, though it's unusual, hopefully it's still helpful. And yeah, let's get this information out there and help people learn grammar. I love it. And I love you guys. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.